What is going on, guys? MMA Island team, we got the fight picks, and we've got UFC Vegas 14, not 13. Last week was 13.
Yes,
Better with
14.
the numbers. But yeah, we got Brendan Allen taking on Sean Strickland. Man, when these fights fell out, we lost the Daniel Rodriguez, Brian Barberena fight, which it being the card after my birthday, I was like, let's go. What a banger of a fight after my birthday, and we lose it. And then we got Islam Makhachev RDA, and we lose it. So UFC says, hey, we'll just throw in Brendan Allen, Sean Strickland for you. So that's a banger. It's a banger of a fight, especially on short notice. Having Sean Strickland just totally have a very entertaining fight against Jack Marshman.
Yes.
Really, really entertaining fight. So I'm going first to talk about this one. So
No, you're not. No, you're not.
You're not going first? Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm not going first.
Come on now.
I will save my talk for after you're finished.
All right, so welcome back, Sean Strickland. It's good to have you. He made a big fan out of me when he fought Jack Marshman with his trash talk, I guess you can call it, but whatever he did, it was absolutely hilarious. Just, get up, Jack. Why would you go down, Jack? 10 seconds, Jack. It was hilarious. He was doing that all while just tuning him up. And this is normally a ground fighter, a jiu-jitsu guy. And his striking was absolutely precise. And I hate that his momentum is going to be derailed so early because Brendan Allen is the guy, the top, probably like one of the top prospects, if not the top prospect at 185 pounds. Because, man, has this guy looked nothing but impressive. And he has a win that is aging very well over Mr. Kevin Holland. Could be fighter of the year, Kevin Holland, if he pulls off a miracle win against Jack Hermansson, God willing, in December. But we know what Brendan Allen wants to do to you. Everyone knows Brendan Allen's going to take you down, and he's going to submit you. That's what he wants to do, and he pretty much almost always gets his way. And I think that Sean Strickland, he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I think he's going to want to try to test Allen on the ground. Because on the feet, I favor Sean Strickland. If this fight is on the feet for 3 rounds, which it won't be, but if it is, then Sean Strickland's going to win this fight, just like Kevin Holland would have beat him if it was on the feet for 3 rounds. But again, it wasn't. But I mean, it's indicative to see what Kevin Holland was doing to Brendan Allen on the feet before that fight hit the mat. And when it goes to the mat, again, Allen's top pressure is tremendous. He is very, very good on top. He has very, very good submissions, and he makes people just break. Solid wrestlers like in his last fight, beating Kyle Dawkins in one of the many times he was supposed to fight Ian Heinisch, and Ian Heinisch gets rewarded for catching COVID by getting a Kelvin Gastelum fight. Hopefully karma comes around for that one. But yeah, I think Brendan Allen is going to win this fight. I think that he's going to take Sean Strickland down. I think Strickland is going to allow it. I think he's going to be okay with being taken down and try and test out his jiu-jitsu. Sean Strickland normally has very, very solid takedown defense, and he was only taken down twice by Kamaru Usman, which is kind of an accomplishment because he usually takes down everyone a lot more.
I mean, he also got outstruck by 80 strikes.
I mean, it's Kamaru Usman, man. What are you going to do?
Sure.
But yeah, I think that also Brendan Allen's a natural middleweight. Sean Strickland's a small middleweight, so that strength advantage is going to go very, very much towards the side of Brendan Allen. And if you want to engage a guy on the ground, you should be stronger than him if you want to engage top position and keep it there. Allen has that advantage. Brendan Allen by submission.
Yeah, so a couple things to mention. Brendan Allen, obviously you mentioned, man, what's with my locks falling out? My lock was Brendan Allen versus Ian Heinisch. I had Brendan Allen, and he was my lock. And there goes that fight. And then that moved to Trevin Giles being my lock. And, hey, I just interviewed him, so check out that interview sometime soon whenever I get it posted. But he was my lock, and people thought I was crazy because he's an underdog. And what do you know? He wins by TKO in the third round.
He was the favorite.
No. Well, I think it was a pick'em.
Okay, then there's no underdog, man.
But, yeah, so talking about this fight, catchweight bout, very, very interesting. Seeing, and as you mentioned, Brendan Allen or Ian Heinisch catching COVID and then getting Kelvin Gastelum. I was like, wait, what? He just lost to Jack Hermansson, who's at the top of the division. So it's kind of an interesting matchmaking deal. I think, if anything, you give Ian Heinisch Sean Strickland and then Brendan Allen, Kelvin Gastelum. I think those would be better fights to make. But hey, I'm not the matchmaker. Maybe they know something we don't. Obviously, Calvin Gastelum probably wants to prepare. Sean Strickland probably doesn't care. And I got bars. But talking about this, Brendan Allen, man, you mentioned a lot of good things about him, and this dude's got same takedown game. And this is one thing that I love to mention about Sean Strickland is I kind of have a little bit of a theory. And when I was going into the Jack Marshman fight, I took Sean Strickland with a very, very high confidence just because we look at, and I know this doesn't tell all, but you look at the guys who he's lost to. I'm going to mention in every fight pick we do, he's ran into trains. Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, one of the greatest strikers in the welterweight division at the moment, in my opinion. Kamaru Usman, current welterweight champion. Santiago Ponzinibbio, who we're going to see soon, thank God, hopefully at least. One of the most underrated people in the welterweight division. And he lost all three of those guys. Everyone else has kind of been lower competition, and he's beat. So that's why I took him with some high confidence against Jack Marshman. And one thing, obviously you mentioned Sean Strickland in his fight with Jack Marshman. Why won't you fall, Jack? 10 seconds, Jack. Come on, Jack. Like that was awesome. And if you're questioning why Jack Marshman won't fall, you're going to find yourself questioning why Brendan Allen won't fall. If you're going in this expecting Sean Strickland to knock out Brendan Allen, I don't think that's a very good bet to make. I think Brendan Allen is a very underrated striker, I will say. Obviously, more of his game comes from the takedown game, the top pressure game. But this dude is pretty good. He doesn't absorb very many strikes, sitting at 2.55 at 35% defense, which is pretty low, but 60% striking accuracy compared to Strickland's 36. So it's kind of a battle of you got the 36% striking accuracy of Sean Strickland, 35% striking defense of Brendan Allen. The 60% striking accuracy of Brendan Allen, the 67% striking defense of Sean Strickland. As I mentioned, how much this striking stuff is taking into play, I don't expect it to, because I expect Brandon Allen to go in there and take him down. And being a guy who is so good in the takedown game, in the ground game, he doesn't typically go for takedowns as much as he should. He doesn't have the highest amount of takedown accuracy, nor does he take down average per 15 minutes. But
usually because when he gets a takedown, he keeps it there. He doesn't have to go for more than one.
And that's the thing. Submission average per 15 minutes is 2.4. So when the fight goes to the ground, he's not looking to hold him there, rest, and say, oh, I'm hitting him with the push elbows. I'm doing something, ref. Why are you telling me to get more action? No, he's trying to choke you out. That's what he's trying to do. And you're looking at Brendan Allen. And as I mentioned, the things I love to mention about the fighters, this is one thing I like to mention about Brendan Allen. You look at that last 3 wins. You got Kevin Holland, who is killing it right now, and just took a giant jump from Charlie Ontiveros, making his UFC debut, to Jack Hermansson, which is a very, very interesting jump. But he makes the jump. Tom Breeze, who looked on fire against KB Bular.
That was after the Brendan Allen fight, though.
Dropped him with a jab. Obviously, after the Brendan Allen fight, that fight was a month ago. And then you got Kyle Dawkins, undefeated Kyle Dawkins. A bit of a back and forth fight, kind of a closer fight than I think a lot of people expected. But I think for the most part, I remember Brendan Allen dominating in that one. And I think there was a moment that Kyle Dawkins had, and I think that's why my brain said it was back and forth. But I think from what I remember, it was pretty dominant in Brendan Allen's side. So yeah, that's one thing I like to mention. You look at the last few fights, it's like you got to hold Brendan Allen in pretty high regard. And it's really weird. I thought that the line was close for Ian Heinisch, Brendan Allen, just because I had so much confidence Brendan Allen was going to win. The line's close for Sean Strickland, Brendan Allen too. And I like Sean Strickland. I really, really do. He could probably even win this fight. It's not the craziest amount of confidence I got Brendan Allen in this one. But I do have Brendan Allen on this one because I just look at who he's lost to, who he's beat. You go back and he was submitted, his 3rd fight in his career against Trevin Giles. Check out the interview. And then Eric Anders and Anthony Hernandez. I think in rematches, Brendan Allen could probably beat both of those guys. But yeah, you're looking at a guy who's kind of had some, I guess you could say, fluky losses. Maybe not my dude Trevin Giles, one of my new favorite fighters, because he's such a cool dude. Check out that dang interview, man. But yeah, so I'm holding that in pretty high regard, and I'm looking at Sean Strickland, man. That I'm never a fan of fighters going the distance and then trying to getting a call. Sorry, I'm looking at Trevin or Sean Strickland going the distance. Sean Strickland going the distance and then getting a fight, 2 weeks later. So it's a bit interesting to me, especially with Brendan Allen training for a fight and then moving up to middleweight rather than having to make the middleweight division again, moving up to 195 rather than try to make the middleweight cut again. So going to be interesting, man. Really, really interesting fight. I'm so happy they filled in a fight with this card just because this card
needed it. This card needed this fight.
Definitely needed it. So it's going to be interesting to see. And it's a close fight, man. As much as I sound like I'm hyping up Brendan Allen, I'm a big fan of Sean Strickland as well. So I think it's going to be a close fight. Probably pick Brendan Allen via decision. But make sure you guys are letting us know who you guys got in this one. Very interesting fight, as I've mentioned 400 times, as I typically always do. But point is, man, make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribing to the channel. Make sure you guys check out the other fight pick videos.